Motor's been running since 68, riding the crazy train, knocking down gates. Yeah, we were born to be wild. It's my life, rocking as an English child. Our Beatles were leopards and snakes. Youth go wild, falling into Sunset Straight. I wanna rock, feel the noise. Hey, 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 rock the life.
Welcome to Rock the Life, a podcast for fans by fans. I'm Amy.
I'm Katya, and today we are going to delve into the band Warrant. So, Amy, I'm going to test your trivia a bit on some Warrant things. Okay, did you know that Warrant had a song in the movie Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
What?
It was the song Game of War, and it was in the movie, but not on the soundtrack. And I have to say, back in the day, I loved Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Right. Oh my gosh. That was the whole Keanu. Yeah.
Loved it.
Got you there.
Loved it.
Yeah.
But
same.
like, I guess, I think I remember hearing about Warrant at that point. And did you know over the years, like if you look on Wikipedia, Warrant lists about 24 different band members that have played in the band.
What? That's a huge number.
Yeah. So,
oh no, I didn't know that.
And I think if you look at like over 30 years, they've gone in and out of, singers and people leaving the band and coming back. Which is my next. Did you know that Jamie Lay was in and out of the band and returned to the band for the final time in 2008? On their 20th anniversary.
Yeah, no, I did not. I did not know that. I do know that a lot of times I've heard interviews where like Jerry, Eric, and Joey have been asked like, why didn't you guys do more to help Jamie? And I learned through that they actually did a lot, to the extent of on that tour hiring a sobriety coach, which ended up costing the band $500 a day. But this coach literally followed Jamie around everywhere that he went, trying to make sure that he was okay. So
yeah, they recognized at the time. Did you know that Warrant, when they were supporting Poison, that they nearly went to blows with each other, and Warrant was kicked off the tour?
I knew that Warrant was kicked off the tour. I didn't know that they almost went to blows. The story I heard about that was like Janie would constantly climb up like on the speakers, and they made it through like the majority of this tour. They're like 2 or 3 dates left from what I understand. And then all of a sudden they were told they couldn't climb on the speakers, and that just didn't sit well with Janie. And so he did it anyway. And then on the next night or the next show of the tour, they had boarded up access to it, and Janie and someone else, I don't remember who, but they were ripping down the boards to be able to access the speakers to climb up them, and that was kind of it. That did it. But I didn't hear about the going to blows with Poison, so I didn't know that. That's awesome. Not really, but you know what I mean.
And I love this one. This goes back to the many members in Warrant. Did you know that Joey Allen left the band in 1994, and then he worked in the IT world for a while before returning to the band 8 years later? I found out that he even has like a degree in engineering.
Yeah. That I learned also doing research for this, but I was like, what? And the interview that I saw, he was like, I had a kid to support, I got and I was like, grown-ups.
Yeah, no, I loved hearing that. And I was like, yeah, this is like, I like to think of them as the Rock Boys, but they had a life too. They grew up like we did. And did you know that guitarist Eric Turner is a fan of Led Zeppelin and Aerosmith?
Oh, that makes sense to me. I can see that.
I have one last question. This was not for you necessarily. It's for everyone else out there.
Okay.
Did you know that you and I met at Warrant.
That I did know. I knew that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. Warrant is the reason we met.
Life changing.
And let me just like go
Mm.
go back a bit, because like, if you think of like who was Warrant, it was like a bunch. We have Eric Turner in the band.
Mm-hmm.
They started the band in Los Angeles in 1984 with Joey Allen, and they met on the Sunset Strip, which I love that part because we
Mm-hmm.
love the Sunset Strip at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And in
Mm-hmm.
1986, those two got together, and Dirty's Rotten, Filthy, Stinkin' Rich was their first album that went out, and it
Mm-hmm.
came out
Mm-hmm.
in January of 1989. Big songs, Down Boys,
Yeah.
Heaven.
That
Yeah.
Down Boys video, I remember right around the first time probably I saw it, it was like, what? Who is this? Just the way that they were dressed and the way that they moved. And I was like, ooh, it was nice to look at. It was definitely a good video, you know, hawk eyes, leather. I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed it a
They
lot.
had, and they had, I had to laugh looking back at the video. They had the coordinated dance moves and nice outfits.
I
And I
know.
was like,
I loved it. I loved
those
every single
Backstreet
bit of
Boys
it.
going on there.
Yeah, I know.
And who did
Pre. They might not like to hear that.
pre? But no, I think it was the whole idea of being a teenage girl at the time and seeing that.
Oh
It was
yeah.
appealing. It was fun. It
It
was
was.
MTV. It was seeing
Yeah.
these good-looking guys dancing and singing.
Yeah. I remember for that show, I was maybe 16, and my friend Kathy and I had heard that they were going to be at the Civic Auditorium in San Jose, smaller venue, and literally Down Boys
Yes.
had just come out. They didn't have any other songs out at that time, I don't think. I could be wrong, but
No,
I was like, I was like, we gotta look at these guys. We gotta see these guys. And so we went, and Kathy and I walked around the venue, found the tour bus, and on the tour bus, I remember seeing this later in Metal Edge, but on the tour bus it said, "We've come for your daughters." You know how old tour buses used to have like that analog thing, and it would give their destination or the city that they were headed to. Warrants said, "We've
Yes.
come for your daughters." And that was like classic Warrant. We're like, oh, you know, and in our little teenage bits, Kathy and I are like, we're daughters. Not really, but anyway, we were
Well,
walking
speaking of that,
yeah, we were walking around outside San Jose, and you know, as we're doing that, a car drives by and honks at us. And we live in Pleasanton, safe little town. And so we holler back because that's what we do in our town. And all of a sudden, this voice pops up and says,
we don't do that in this town. I think it was something like, you guys better watch out. We don't do that in this town.
right? And then we're like, oh no.
And I have to say, I showed up. So the San Jose Civic Auditorium, where they were playing, is I knew that venue backwards and forwards because I had worked for the mayor of the city at the time, and that's where we held our events. And I
Nice.
remember seeing this band was going to come. I was always at this venue, and it was warm. So I convinced my sister to take me to the show. And she was great and took me, even though this wasn't her type of music. Concerts weren't her thing. She drove me. And I remember seeing these girls hanging out by the bus, and that's how it started.
Yep, that's how it started.
That
So
was it.
I remember making our way in, like we hung out in line together, and I don't know, you had flowers. So I don't know, Kathy and I'm pretty sure, wanted to get as close as we could. So I don't know if we just kind of split up or if you stayed with us. Do you remember?
I remember at some point we went in. I wouldn't have been hanging out too close to the front of the stage because I was with my sister, and that's not what she would have wanted to do.
Yeah.
I had the flowers, and one of their managers came up to me and gave us some backstage passes to my sister and I to go back. And after the show, we went back. I was really excited. And my sister was not so excited because now I made her night go a lot later than she wanted to be doing something that I probably, in her mind, we should have been doing. And so I'm talking to the same manager and some of the band guys, and they'd asked my sister if she wanted a picture with them, and she's like, no. And so I said, but I do know somebody who would want a picture with you. And there's two girls out there, and I think, or you somehow asked if they could come backstage too, if it would be okay. And I was like, they're really cute. And so the guy was like, yeah, go get them. And then I found you and Kathy.
Yep. And I remember it was like you kind of ran out and you looked at us with this look on your face. Do you want to go backstage? And we're like, hello? What kind of question is that? You might as well just said, come with me. So yeah, we made our way, we followed you, made our way backstage. We got pictures. I, for the longest time, had a signed Budweiser can from Jerry Dixon. Had in the picture that we have with Joey, I have on my black acid wash jean jacket, and I got that signed.
Yes.
And
well, just to say, like, for our younger viewers, that this was taking a picture on a camera with film and getting it developed. This wasn't even digital camera age, right? This was camera with film, but I think that plays into
you had to wind
our
it.
story too.
It does. We you had to wind the
I don't know if
camera.
we were at winding age. I think it was automatic at this point. I was really into my
your
photography.
camera. Yeah. Maybe your camera. Yeah,
because I wouldn't do anything without my camera. So I had my camera everywhere. And even though I think cameras weren't allowed at many concerts, because I spent so much time at the Civic, they let me bring my camera in.
And at the end of the night, you had me on this little piece of paper. Write down your address. I'll send you the pictures. And honestly, I was like, yeah, right. Like, I'm going to write this down. This is where you can find me, but yeah, right. Like, I'm never going to see these pictures, never going to hear from this girl again, but what a good night, right? And so 2 weeks later, I'm getting my mail and I get this letter and it's thick and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I open it up and I like called you immediately.
Yeah,
and
I remember
a friendship
that.
was born.
I remember.
Yeah.
It was
adventures galore.
Yeah, it was
one night.
Adventures began. Warrant became like our band in 1989. And we continued the friendship. And then Warrant went on the Blood, Sweat, and Beers tour. What do you remember
Cherry
about
Pie
that? With
came
Trixter
out.
and Firehouse.
Yeah. I remember we didn't see them.
I'm wearing cherry earrings just to like
celebrate. Nice. I remember we missed the first show. I don't remember why, but they came back around and were at Great America, so Redwood Amphitheater, in, I think it was October. It was during the school year.
Exactly.
Because I did not plan on going this time. I was in an ROP marketing class in high school. We were a DECA chapter, and don't ask me what DECA stands for anymore. And we had a competition. Yeah, I used to know, but even on their website, they took off what the acronym was for, and they just call it DECA now. So I couldn't even go back and look. I tried. But we had this DECA event, and I was my high school's vice president, or high school chapter's vice president, so really supposed to be there. And I remember, for some reason, my mom couldn't take me, and the event was in Santa Clara at a hotel. I'm pretty sure it was like a Marriott or something, at a hotel. Anyway, you come get me, and you're like, oh, we're headed that way anyway. We found out that this is where, Warrant, Trixter, and Firehouse were going to be, so we're going to go adventure around. You and our friend Jen. So I'm like, okay, and you just give me a ride, and we're headed up to the hotel. And in this area, there's a lot of hotels, and there's one kind of down, I don't know, there's a hill, and my hotel was up the hill. There was another hotel at the bottom of the hill. And you're driving me up the hill, and we see buses. I'm wearing
Tour
my school.
buses.
Yes, and I'm wearing, my school's color was purple and yellows. And so I have on this purple blazer because I'm decked out in school spirit, right? Bright purple blazer. And we head up
Love
the
that
hill.
blazer.
Oh no. I just see the pictures and I'm like, oh, the purple blazer. But we head up this hill.
I still wear
and
purple blazers.
Right, I feel you. We head up this hill, but it was October, and it was a longer summer, so it was hot. I was really overdressed. I was really prepared to be inside, so that's what I remember. I remember being miserable and hot. But anyway, we drive up and we get to the top of the hill, and I'm still looking back, and you can see the buses, and I'm looking at you, and we've had a few other adventures in this time, since then, and I'm looking at you, and I'm just kind of going, I can't do it. I can't do it. So I totally piss off my high school DECA team, and I just don't show up. And you drive back down the hill, we park in the parking lot, and the first band we meet is Firehouse. It's the first time we met them, and we'll talk about that on another show. And then we move into a hotel. And what happens at the hotel?
And that is where we meet Pauly Shore. And Pauly Shore at the time, he's a comedian.
Sup,
He was on
buddy?
MTV. He was the
Yeah.
guy that showed that like Encino Surfer Man, like Southern
Encino
California
Man.
guy, showed
Yeah.
videos. Encino Man, he was like
Brendan
the
Fraser.
rock and roll DJ. Like he
Mhm.
also hosted like Spring Break, which made you think like every college spring break had to be wild and crazy. It was like hosted by Pauly Shore. And he was, for some reason, like the opening comedian for this show, for the Blood,
He was
Sweat,
the
and
MC.
Beers tour.
Yeah, he was
And
the MC.
the MC, because this is what he did.
Yeah.
So we see Pauly Shore. He's cool and funny, and
The
he
Weezer.
at the time, the Weezer. That was at the time. He was, man.
Yeah.
He had all these great. He was a comedian. He was a total comedian. He was great. Him and Guns N' Roses is big at this time. He had gotten to a tiff with Axl Rose, and I think wanted to make fun of him. And so he sees us and is like, "Hey, you girls are from around this area." And I was working in a restaurant right around the area. Grew up in the area, and he wanted us to buy a catcher's uniform thingy.
Yeah, like
this
the
thing,
gear
the catcher's
right here.
protective gear, because for some the gear Axl was wearing, it just shows like sports gear, come out like football jerseys, but he did something significant this time where he wore this like baseball catcher's mitt.
Yeah.
So we knew exactly what he was talking about, and we ran out into a sporting goods store and bought this catcher's mitt for Pauly Shore, or this catcher's outfit.
Yeah. We talked to him a little bit before that. Yeah, no, we talked to him a little bit before that, and then they were like, hey, he got this idea and was like, do you guys have tickets to the show? And we're like, no. And he goes, oh, let me hook you up. And we went, and we have some pictures of us buying the thing, and then Pauly wearing it on stage. Pictures of us with Pauly. He was funny, and went and ran that errand, came back, got tickets to the show. Pretty decent tickets, if I remember correctly. And then we're walking out of that hotel, and like MTV's there. And I don't remember why, because to this day,
Which
I
is
don't
why
remember
Pauly Shore was
seeing,
there.
yeah, but I don't remember seeing anything on MTV about this. But MTV's there, and we run into Jerry, and MTV asks us,
that would
like
be
right
Jerry
next
Dixon
to Jerry.
of
Jerry
Warrant.
Dixon. Hi. I love you. If you've seen our other
Jerry.
podcasts, you know that I always just give first names, and Katya is always like saying, "Wait a minute, who are you talking about right now?" and clarifying.
Context.
It's gonna be a thing.
Context.
It's just
Let's
gonna
put
be
some
a
context
thing.
in. Okay. Okay.
That's the way we work. Anyway, so we run into Jerry Dixon outside, and MTV's there, and they've got their cameras set up, and they ask right in front of us. He's right next to us, and they say, "Who's your favorite member of Warrant?" Now, we've already met Warrant once before, but it was brief and in 3 years before this. So, I always crushed on Jerry primarily. I was like, this guy. And then the MTV person looks at Jerry and says, "Did you pay her to say that?" So he whips out his wallet and starts like, da da da. And I reach over and like pretend to try to grab it. Kind of we went on. I don't remember the rest of the MTV bit for that, but I do remember after that, MTV had talked to us. We had to go over to this other table and like sign a waiver to say that we were okay with being on MTV at that point. And then, do you remember what happened from? Did we go
No,
straight to the show?
I think we
or
must
was
have went
it?
to the show.
Yeah,
I think, but just with this whole thing that we just kind of wandered into.
we
Again,
did
you're
that a
supposed to be
lot.
going to your event right next
Yeah.
door. These rock stars that we loved at the time just walked into our
Mhm.
life. We just kind of stroll in.
Yeah.
Everyone, again, I can't say like how much fun this was. It
Yeah.
was this is the height of the guys all having the most beautiful, luscious long locks that they could have.
Oh my word.
Like now,
Oh
I was
my
laughing.
word.
I said, "Who's your favorite member of Warren?" I don't know how to have to say it. Over time, it might be Joey Allen for me. I think I might have. I think I might
Yeah.
have changed now. So sorry, Jerry, but
Yeah.
and Erica. But I think I'm gonna go with Joey. But I also
Yeah.
remember at some point we run into Pete Lauren of Trickster,
Yeah.
and
We did.
he
We
is
ran into Trixter.
at the
Mhm.
time. Pete Lauren at the time. Let me just go back to my like teenage self. He was so hot. Um, everything
Trixter
about him
still
from
looks
his
good.
long hair, his tan, oh, he was beautiful. Is
Killer
beautiful.
voice. Great voice. Yeah, he
No,
I remember
talented.
yeah. Cute as all get out. Yeah. Trixter actually at least I follow PJ Farley and Pete on Instagram. They both still look great.
Oh,
I remember at one point getting a picture, but we don't have the picture anymore. With PJ, and I don't remember if you were in it, but I know me and Jen were in it, and I know that I'm pretty sure you were taking it. But I took the picture of you and
oh
Pete,
yeah.
and gosh, that's one of my favorite pictures. If you actually could see it in the intro, so that super hot picture is for sure there. That was fun.
Thank
They
you,
were
Amy.
down to earth guys. Yeah, they were really down to earth. They were brand new, coming out, and they're East Coast.
Yeah.
So this was a bit of a West Coast thing. They were really young at the time. I think I remember reading or hearing an interview where
Yeah.
PJ, at the start of that tour, PJ Farley was 19. So not very much older than us.
So he was our age.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was about
Yeah.
how old we were at the time.
Yeah. Because I think I was
Oh, we were a little
17 at
younger.
the
Okay,
time.
no, back then we
Yeah.
were a little younger. No, yeah, we were a little
Yeah.
younger at that point. Yeah,
Uh,
we ran into them.
Yeah. It was very casual. So that was kind of fun. Kind of cool.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go back to see if I can find any footage anywhere of Pauly Shore. Is that show? Because Great America was an amusement park. It was an amusement park that we went to all the time. On top of that, I do remember like the show. Like, of course, we were like we could sing to all the Warrant songs by then. Cherry Pie, was just like off the charts at this point too. But the show wasn't that long. I think I don't want to disparage anyone, but I think there had been some drinking going on at that show on stage, and it wasn't the longest set by Warrant at the end.
No, our seats
But
were really close. I remember specifically, and I hate to say this because I remember just being so disappointed. The show was cut short. You could see at one point Janie move to the side and just throw up on the side of the stage. And I was like, did he just throw up? And
Yeah.
I was like, gross, but that's in the height of Cherry Pie and a lot of success. And, we obviously come to learn later there's a lot of problems there. I definitely remember that for sure. For sure. But up to that point, it was pretty good. The music was great. He sang
No,
well.
Janie
I
Lane
know.
was just super talented.
I miss him, you know. I do remember at one point before he threw up, he was talking and it was so slurred. Like we knew he was wasted before he actually got sick because his speech was pretty slurred. And then I do remember Pauly coming out and kind of towards the end and kind of bringing some comedy to a bunch of people who were probably disappointed that the event was ending a little early. Yeah. I remember that. So but that was also towards the end of that tour, wasn't it?
I think it was. But reading like stories, podcasts, magazine articles, everything about that tour, that was like the height of partying rock and roll fun. I think Eric Turner described it as like being like Christmas every day and just being young and excited about what they were doing. And it was the atmosphere of all that was a fun party.
Yeah.
It was, it looked like everyone got along. I mean, as far as from what we saw from our like short view and then perspective in their life, but they were having fun.
That really
the music
came across
was fun. The shows were fun. Yeah. It was a good time.
The one thing that I was really bummed that we missed, I believe, from that show, since it was cut short on that tour, all three, and I really think we would have remembered this if we'd seen it, all three bands would come out and play Fight for Your Right to Party. And I just don't think we got that. I have no memory of that. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, why don't I would remember that. It's an amazing song, and seeing all those guys on stage together would have been incredible. And I don't think we got that at our show. Not that I remember.
I think you are right with that. Fight for Your Right to Party had to be their theme song at that time. And I think it fit so perfectly into that tour, our life, what we were following of this just like fun rock band, touchy glam, beautiful. We were out to have fun. They were out to have fun. We like to just living our lives at that point. It was just all upward, right? There was so many like good things would pop into our lives, and we would have so much fun together just with the music, going to the shows, seeing everyone out there having fun. It was what a special time. And this is I want to see like this is why like these rock bands, these concerts, it was those were special times to go to.
This was one of the last big tours. Our Def Leppard episode, we talked about that tour being right at the end and the cusp of when rock took its little break and grunge came in. And this tour was one of the last tours that was really successful. And it was a high grossing tour that year, definitely top 5, sold out shows in arenas all over the country. And that's where we were in this point in time and history and all of that. So it was really good to get to see that tour and get to have that adventure and meet everybody that way. And
it was. And so I was just going to ask you, Amy, have you seen Warrant since then? I mean, it was a long time ago. But have they popped into any of your shows that you've seen?
No, but I know I've been watching their tour schedule, to see if they come. Not a lot of bands actually come to Oregon. I usually have to drive. Some bands will hit Portland, but not very many.
I will look, because I'm going to look out for them to see. I'm going to go like try to find your tour schedule and see where they're at and see if I can
do it.
Find a way to see Warrant, because I see a lot of the other bands that we talk about I've consistently seen over the decades. Like, and I seek out and look forward to going to their shows. But I'd say Warrant, not that I mean, I would go see them. Absolutely. I just haven't had
I would too.
that chance or been in the right place to see Warrant since then.
Me either. Me either.
Okay, I think
They
I have to
do
make
a
this happen.
lot of touring. Warrant, Trixter, especially, and the different bands that the members of Trixter are into. They do a lot in the Midwest. A whole lot around
Okay.
just that Ohio block. And, you know, they are really successful there. And I don't see a lot of West Coast shows, which is kind of a bummer.
Okay.
You know, I don't know the next time I'm going to Ohio. But if you're in Ohio, here we
I
go.
just have to make, yes.
Yeah.
If I'm in Ohio, if
If
you're in Ohio,
and you've seen the guys, send us an email. Let us know. I'd love to hear
Yes.
how it went. So, yeah. On that note,
I would love to hear how those guys, yeah, I'd love to hear how those guys are doing.
yeah.
Give us a
yeah.
call to action, Amy.
Yeah, so if you've seen Warrant recently or any other band that you've met and loved and grown up with, please send us an email at amy.rockthelife@outlook.com. If you'd like to be on the show, let us know that. We'd love to hear your story. You can also follow us on Instagram at Rock the Life Girl. And I think that's it for today. Warrant.
That
Stay
sounds great.
tuned.
That was such a
Yeah.
fun episode.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. And as always, rock the life. Bye,
Rock
Katya.
the life. Okay, bye, Ames. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Rock the life, don't let the world